I am about to start my weekly reading vlog, so it will go from Monday, which is today's date as I'm filming this, all the way until Sunday. I've got my TBR jar. Let's give it a good old mix and let's see what we get. Okay, so we have The Couple Next Door by Shari Lapena. Do I have that book on my physical TBR? So that's going to be a Kindle read, I think, so I don't think I've got the physical book. I need to double check that. Let me just double check, so I think I might have the physical. Okay, so I have just double checked and I definitely don't have the physical copy. I think it's because I do have some copies of Shari Lapena, so I wasn't sure which ones it was, but I haven't read that. I haven't got the physical copy. I do like this author. I have read from her before and it's usually a 3 or 4 stars. I think I might have even given a 5-star to one of her books. So anyway, we will give that a go. It's a thriller. The Couple Next Door. We'll have a look. I'm thinking it's gonna be about a couple next door. Well, I hope it's gonna hold my attention because lately, and I think I've been saying this a lot in my videos, thrillers haven't really been doing it for me lately. Usually I love thrillers, especially psychological thrillers, ones that mess with your mind. But lately when I have been reading thrillers, they haven't really been doing it for me, so we'll see, won't we? Let's hope. Usually Shari Lapena, or Lapena, sorry, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it, I do apologise, but usually Shari's a pretty safe author for me. We shall see, and I shall keep you updated as I always do, and we can talk about it, discuss it, love it or hate it. Let's cue the next clip where I tell you how much I love it, hopefully. Just come to update you because I literally just started reading the book and we have a bit of a problem. Problem being that I've literally just gone up to chapter 2, so I've literally just started, and we have a missing child trope. And I swear that was never, I did not know that. That was a complete random pick. And I remember in my last weekly reading vlog, we had the same thing. And I said, I'm done with missing child trope. Wow, technically this is a newborn baby. So I think the last one, The Games You Played by Annie Taylor, that was a toddler, I believe. But anyway, I as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh no, here we go. We've got these tropes already. So we've got the unsupportive husband already. So far, like I said, they've only just started, but we have a couple who are friends with a couple who live next door. Now this couple, the one we're getting the point of view from, the mum, I don't know if it goes from point of views to other people, but the one that we are focused on at the moment is Annie, and I can't remember the guy's name, the husband's name, but they are at a party next door, and because they're friends with the next door neighbours. This is set in New York, by the way. Their neighbours don't have any kids, but they're all the same age. I believe they're in their like 30s or 40s, and they've gone next door to have a party. Now she's recently just had a baby, and the baby, she's left it next door, well, in her home, but she's bought the baby monitor with her. Yeah, a little bit irresponsible, but there we go. But at least she bought the baby monitor with her, and they're also checking the baby every half hour, so there is that. But yes, it's giving Madeleine McCann vibes. If you know what that is, then you know. So far it's fine, but the tropes are heavy in there. As soon as we get in, I'm like, okay, missing baby trope, unsupportive husband, because he's been a bit of a prick. He's like, she's struggling with postnatal depression. She wants to get home early. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and her neighbour's like, oh no, stay, like party. And she's like, no, I want to get home. Like, I'm tired. My baby needs me, blah, blah, blah. And the husband's, of course, like, oh, for God's sake, don't be such a party pooper. I mean, he doesn't say it quite like that, but, and she's like, no, I want to go home. You stay then. And he's like, oh, I suppose I should go. And making her feel bad and all that. She didn't even want to go in the first place because their sitter cancelled on them. Their babysitter cancelled on them. So she wasn't going to go in the first place, but her husband basically dragged her and said, no, come. And you know what? He's actually flirting. He's flirting with the woman, her supposedly friend. I can't remember their names. But he's flirting with the next door neighbour. This is very... How weird is this? It's literally like the other book I read, which is, I think it goes... I don't know when this book came out, and I don't know when the other book came out. I believe the other book was in the 2010s. I think it might come out 2015, 2016, and this book, I'm not sure when it came out. But isn't it go to show that these tropes are just really heavy in these type of books? And that's fine if you like that. Me personally, don't like an unsupportive husband in a book. I feel really bad judging it on the first chapter alone. I don't know if this is going to be the central plot, but as soon as she said she came back to her bedroom and the baby was lost and the door was unlocked and she thought she locked it, I thought, oh, here we go. It's going to be like the other book, isn't it? It's going to be quite funny. Let's have a laugh. Let's just have a laugh and see if it's... Let's see. It might surprise me. It might turn out to be this completely different storyline. I had to come on and tell you that because I thought, here we go again. But I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping I am delusional. I am delulu, and I'm hoping the author is going to be like, no, I got your back. It's fine. We're going to have a good story here. Let's see. I am jumping on because I've reached 32% of the way of The Couple Next Door, and I have to say, so far, this is how you do it. I know I had my reservations in the last clip. I was like, oh no, here we go, but this is actually quite good. I knew I could count on this author. There's a reason I like this author. The pacing is really good, by the way. It's really fast. Already I'm like, I just want to keep reading this. So what's happened is, as I said in my last clip, the baby's gone missing, and now the detective's in and he's questioning them all, and it goes sort of like from the point of view from the parents. It's told in third person, but yeah, it's gone from like the parents and detective, and I love it. I love the third person act, because I think why I struggled with, and I don't want to keep comparing it to the other book, but it's very similar to the other book, but it's like done better. This is how it should be done, because I think the other book, it was wrote in the point of view of these people, but it was like wrote like they talked, I don't know what you call, is it first person they call it? They talked to the reader, whereas this one is observing them from like, and talks at third person. Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, I think that's third person, which I much prefer, and this is probably why I get on better with these type of books. So yeah, so they're now going back and they're investigating. And so as I said, when the baby went missing, they were at their neighbour's house, so who they're friends with, and they're having a dinner party to celebrate his birthday. By the way, I am going to be spoiling this, just to warn you, so skip ahead if you don't want to listen. They were celebrating Marco, that was it. They were celebrating Marco's birthday because it's his 40th birthday. He said, okay, come round, let's have dinner. Like, I know you don't want a big thing, but let's just have a bit of dinner, let's have a laugh, you know, blah blah blah. So they go round, and then Anne, the FMC, the one who's lost her baby, the mum, she's in the dining room with her friend's husband, just sat there kind of lounging, talking, and she sees that like her husband's being a bit flirty, a bit like whatever. Them two have got like a flirty thing going on. They go outside to have a cigarette. It's really late at night, everyone's a bit drunk, especially her husband. She hasn't been drinking as much because obviously she's breastfeeding and stuff. So anyway, we have just got the point of view from the couple next door. So it turns out that woman, she's a kinky one. Like, they're both really kinky, and basically they have a hidden camera pointed outside, but they haven't told the police of this yet because they're a bit kinky, and they have a bit of a thing going on where the woman, the couple like to film, I don't know what you call it, like cuckolded. She goes outside and like seduces men, like gives them a sexual stuff. Let's just say that. I think you can imagine where it goes. They film it, which is obviously, I'm guessing, well, I say guessing, like it is illegal without consent, but I'm guessing they don't know, these men don't know that they're being filmed when she does these sexual acts, right? Because obviously it's, in that sense, it's non-consensual. Because she's filming them, and then I think they're only using it for their private thing, but like I don't think she puts it anywhere. I don't know, but even so, it's still obviously not consensual. So yeah, that's really interesting. They've got like a hidden camera, and now they're debating. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, that, I didn't see that coming. She's trying to make out that like he came on to her, and like he's like, no, she came on to me, and it's like, who said what, you know? It's like he said, she said, and now we're finding she actually did come on to him. Oh my god, this is just taking a whole new turn. The twist, I did not see that, and it's already a twist, and it's just over 30%. And it is similar, it's very similar in that so the mother, to the other book I read, The Games You Played, I don't want to keep comparing them, but it's just because they are so similar, and it's one that I very recently read. The mother, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she had postnatal depression. Sorry, I hope that's what it's called, I think that's right. And so is this mother, so that's quite interesting that they're, you know, talking about that effects that had, the impact that has on mothers, especially first time mothers and things like that. So yeah, they are talking about that a lot, and I feel like that representation so far is good. You know, she has a psychiatrist, you know, them feeling a bit like, oh, do we tell the police about her going to psychiatrist, because the police already suspect that it could be the couple, even though they clearly, well, at least the characters are telling us they didn't do it. We don't know that for sure, so there's a bit of like an unreliable narrator going on, but I'm almost certain it isn't the parents, although maybe that's the twist. If it ends up being the parents, I will be shocked, because I really don't think it is. Marco, actually, he's a shit husband, but I don't know, I don't like him. I don't feel like he's very supportive. But actually, I don't know, actually. I think I'm changing my mind about him, because he's given a side of the story, but there's something about him. There's something about all of them. That's the thing. That's why I like this. Because all of the characters, there's something I can't quite put my finger on about them. You almost feel like the detective going in, because all of them seem a little bit off. Like, I can't quite put my finger on it, and I thought that's why I'm liking it. This is good, man. This is really good, actually. I am liking this. It's struggling trying to work, so I'm working from home and I kind of want to read my book, and I'm trying to like read it all quickly on my break. I honestly think I can finish this easily by tomorrow or Wednesday. I'm going to try and read some more tonight. But yeah, guys, this is actually a lot better so far. Thank you, Shari. Show them. You saved me. You've saved the trope for me so far. I shouldn't say it so like early on, but we shall see. So it is now Tuesday morning. I'm just about to start work. I've got a few minutes. and I thought I'd quickly pop on because I have reached just over halfway through of the book I'm reading, and things have taken a turn because, and this is going to contain spoilers, I feel like I have to keep saying that just in case. The daddy, yeah, it's him. He's responsible. Well, here's the thing, he did set it all up. Now, it is weird because I didn't think it was the parents. I know in the last clip I was like, I don't think it's the parents, but I did always think there was something about Marco. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Turns out it's Marco. Marco, what are you doing, Marco? Yeah, Marco is responsible. So because he's got his own business. I don't quite understand what it is, something to do with IT, and they are struggling financially. Now, the detectives picked this up and like, we can see that you're struggling financially. You know, it could be you, because there's been a ransom of $5 million. So the wife's parents are really wealthy, and they've just been able to cough up $5 million. Like, it took a bit of a while, but they got there in the end, and they have tried to give this kidnapper $5 million, right? So that's gone on, and he's arranged, so the guy, Marco, has arranged to meet with this guy to give the money and have the baby back. The guy's double-crossed him because actually no baby, but he's took the money, and he knocked Marco out while he went to arrange to meet this guy. Short story is that it's him, but now he's panicking because it's all gone not as planned, because he planned to do this so that they give him the money and that'd be the end of it. But why he didn't just ask her parents for the money, I'm not sure. I think it's because he doesn't get on with her parents. They don't really like him. They make that very clear. They have given him money before to start up his business, I think. And also, I think they paid for the house or something. I'm not quite sure, but they've given them a lot of money before for things like that. And really, when I say them, it's more for their daughter, really. But, you know. And so they've done that. And he feels like he can't ask them for more money because, firstly, he doesn't really get on with them. I suppose I'm like, why can't you just talk to your wife to do it? If you told her how badly you needed the money, but then his wife's going through depression, like she's got postnatal depression, so he felt like he had to kind of take charge and try and sort it out because they're in really bad financial situation, and his wife's they've just got this newborn baby, well, 6-month-old baby, and wife's got postnatal depression. So that's the story so far, but he's still making it seem innocent. Now the police are finally involved, because that was part of the ransom, by the way. The ransom was, oh, don't tell the police, otherwise we'll hurt Cora, we'll kill the baby, basically. So they haven't got the police involved until now, because obviously it's gone wrong, but he's still claiming his innocence, which I think by this point I get kind of why he's doing it. I don't agree with it, I'm just saying I get why he would do it in his mind. It's like, you probably should just confess now because your daughter is probably either killed or seriously harmed. When I first saw that it was him, I was like, oh no, it's going to be boring now because it's just going to be him. But now he's panicking because it's gone wrong. They were meant to return the baby to him, and this guy that he organised the kidnapping with was meant to get the share of it. So he was meant to get the half and he gets the other half, and they would never meet again, that would be done, and they'd all live happily ever after. Now, it is explained a bit more into detail how they go about this, but obviously I'm not going to bore you with the details. That's just the gist of it. What's going to happen? Where's this baby? Because now we don't know. Now we as the reader do not know. I'm starting to think, is it the fucking wife now? Like, is it the wife? I've got a theory that the wife knows the kidnapper. No, it can't be though, because she seems like she's really confused. But again, it's unreliable narrators, because she seems genuinely confused by all this. What is going on? Someone knows in this family. I'm wondering, could it be the parents? Like, as in their grandparents? Could it be them? But then how? Why? None of it makes sense. Can you tell I'm loving this? I will quickly talk to you as well about Gilmore Girls, because we watched it a bit last night. And for those of you who are new, I've never watched Gilmore Girls before. This is my first time watching it. Just started series 3. By the way, if you hate Gilmore Girls or you've never watched it or you don't care for it, then you want to skip this bit, because I did say I was going to update about Gilmore Girls. I need Luke and Lorelai to get together. I have seen some spoilers. I know they do end up marrying. So yeah, but the slow burn. Who knew I loved slow burn? I actually really love slow burn. I love a good slow burn. I can't wait for them to get together. I know they get together, then break up, and then I think they get married. And then apparently, this is like stuff because I don't really want to know too much, but I can't help but see spoilers because I like watching the fan edits of Luke. I do like Luke. He's just, yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man. I need them to get together. It's a really good show. It's cute, it's wholesome, it's harmless, it's fun. It's just vibes, isn't it? It's just vibes. And, you know, sometimes that's just what you want in life. You don't want something too complex. Some people love that, and that's great. Good for you. I wish I could be like you. But me personally, I can't be dealing with that too much all the time. I need a bit of variety. Variety, can't say that word. The grandparents still piss me off. I just don't understand. And me and my husband were talking about this in depth last night because it pisses me off. And this is just, it makes no sense in their characters because Emily and Richard, Lorelai's parents, want her to be with Christopher. Why? He's a bum. I get that he comes from good money and that his family are well off and all that rubbish, but his family hate the Gilmores. Like, they hate their son. They hate the Gilmores. There was an episode where they literally like, we hate you. Like, literally more or less said that. Practically a bum. He has no real prospects or job. Lorelai is so much better. She's a manager in an inn. She's got a lot more going for her. She lives in a house with Rory. Like, what's he got going? And they're like, oh, you and Christopher, like, it's been nearly like 20 plus years. Why do you care about this guy? That's a whole other rant, and it really pisses me off how they like root for Christopher, which is Rory's dad, for no reason. It makes me so mad, and it's not consistent with their character. I don't understand that at all, and I can't think why the writers do that. And I think it's just purely for the drama. I think they know they have to have some drama, so it's like, well, we'll keep Emily and Richard still wanting them. Yeah. Whatever, you know, whatever. Me and my husband actually were discussing last night how we would remake Gilmore Girls, and oh my god, I'm sorry, I hate to brag, but you know, we would do so much better. It is what it is. We have what we've got, don't we? We just have to make the use of it. Thought I'd update you about Gilmore Girls. I will log in with you. I will log in with you once I've finished, or if there's anything else I need to comment on. I'm hoping I can finish the book maybe today. If not, I'll definitely finish it by the end of the week, but I just don't know if it's going to be today. Let's just hope that Shari, Lapena can keep going. Let's hope. That's what I love about this book as well. I don't know if I mentioned this in the other clip, but it's really good pacing. Like, I don't feel like it's dragging anywhere. It's keeping me going. It's piquing my interest. I want to know what's happening next. But anyway, I shall love and leave you and see you in the next clip. I'm currently filming this. It is Thursday morning, just before work. I'm in the car park, so I really hope that no one can see me. I don't think they can. But I just wanted to quickly pop on because I've been a really bad vlogger. I haven't been reading. So that book, which I'm basically nearly finished, yesterday I got home from work, I just couldn't be bothered. I was like, let's just watch Gilmore Girls. The plan is for me to read tonight, finish that book, and hopefully start another one, and then finish that by Sunday, ready for my vlog. So I've at least finished 2 books. But if I haven't, don't hate me. I will try and finish the other book. To be honest, yeah, I just can't be bothered. I've been lazy. But anyway, cue to me in the next clip, updating you about my finished book. Finished! I have literally just finished the book. I decided to give it 4 stars. I couldn't quite give it a full 5-star just because as much as I did love the book, I felt like the ending, like the last 2 to 3 chapters maybe, weren't as great. I felt like there was already enough shock factor that it didn't need those bits that they added on the end, which I will talk about in a minute, which obviously are going to be spoilers again. After the 80% mark, it did get a little bit far-fetched. So I'm going to talk about it now. So obviously spoilers, but the FMC, so Anne, the mother of the baby, she ends up killing the next door neighbour because the next door neighbour is having an affair with her dad, which is actually technically her stepdad. She's about the same age as Anne, so I think they're in their 30s, and she kills the neighbour because she taunts her basically. She's been threatening her, she's been kind of blackmailing them anyway. She had this video of them. I thought Marco got off a bit too lightly for my liking as well. He was kind of like, just like got a kind of slap on the wrist by the police and by Anne, and I was like, he was quite complicit in this though. Like, he was willing to give up his baby daughter for money. And I know he was desperate, like, I get it, but isn't that kind of like the whole point? Like, you know, nothing comes between your baby or your kid. Didn't like that, but I feel like he should have had more retribution. If anything, I feel like Anne would have been right to kill him, but there we go. So yeah, that's just kind of how it ended. And she was like, with a carving knife, and basically killed the woman Cynthia. Marco found her like, what have you done? And then she was like, I don't remember, because apparently she blacks out, and she like, they kind of hinted at it earlier in the book, because when she went to this like private school that she went to, she ended up really harming this girl because this girl was bullying her, and she basically like nearly killed her. She didn't, but she like really badly assaulted her. So anyway, but she apparently blacked out, and she has these things where she blacks out and can't remember certain things, which is just quite convenient. So yeah, I don't know, those kind of things I felt like just didn't need to be added. Like, you could have just said that she got angry, Cynthia taunted her, and then she just killed her. Well, we don't know if she's actually dead, but she's definitely harmed her in some way. But it said that she was being pulled out on a stretcher, which you have to presume she's been badly injured and all dead. Anyway, wasn't a fan of that. I felt like that was just a bit too far-fetched, but otherwise really did like this. I'm not gonna lie, it did keep me going. The pacing was excellent. Yeah, that was the gist of it. So yeah, overall not too bad. I am ready to read another one. So I got my jar here, so let's give it a good shake. I thought I might as well, let's just try one. Let's just see what we get. Let's hope I don't get another child trope. But I do thank the author for that, because that was a good one. That's how you do it. Oh, I didn't even say, did I? What happened to the baby? Wait, you're probably like, wait, what happened to Cora? Cora's a little baby. Yeah, she was safe and well. Richard was all behind it. I don't know if I mentioned this, the stepdad or the dad, she calls him dad. He was behind it the whole time, and he did it because his business was failing. I don't know, it was all a bit weird, but basically the baby was fine. She got returned. She was a little bit underweight because she was being looked after by a woman who was on drugs, but she really needed the money. So yeah, I don't know what that meant. Yeah, Cora is alive and well, was alive as well as she can be. So anyway, A Slow Fire Burning by Paula Hawkins. Okay, interesting. I have the physical book of that, so that's quite nice. I don't have to buy it. I have read from this author before, and that is The Girl on the Train. I've not heard great things about this one, actually. This is another thriller, I believe, as well. When I have looked this up, people have said it's not as good. Paula Hawkins, I've only ever read that one book, which I did really like. I've not heard good things about this one, so like I said, I don't know. We shall see. I shall update you hopefully tomorrow. I am working from home. It is Friday tomorrow, so I'm hoping I can read a little bit more, like on my break, things like that, blah blah blah. Let's get into it. I might start a bit tonight actually, but yeah, I shall see you in the next clip where I'm gonna obviously rant that I love it. It's Friday morning. I've just started A Slow Fire Burning. I've just reached chapter 4, so I'm about 7% through or something like that, so very early on. Let's give my first initial thoughts. What do I think of it? Am I loving it? Am I liking it, or am I hating it? So far so good. Also, sorry, I do love this edition that I got. This is the I got this in a charity shop, but it's like an orange cover, which I quite like. Yeah, so far so good. So what's it about? So no missing child trope, at least not at the moment. So we have a young man who was found dead on a narrowboat. I'm not quite sure where it's set. Oh, it's set in London, that's it. So, and instantly I was a little bit intimidated, because we have a map, and I was like, ooh, and I was like, I don't normally like maps if it's murder, because I get confused. And I'm like, so it's got people's houses, like Miriam's boat, Daniel's boat, blah blah blah. He's just been found dead, and obviously the detectives are all involved, blah blah blah. And it was found dead by a woman who was mooring, I guess that's what you call it, next to him, a lady called Miriam, who's middle-aged. And there's a bit of a connection between the two, but we're not quite sure what it is yet. It would appear on the surface that they're complete straight. Oh, just hit myself with the book. It would appear on the surface that they're strangers, but are they? It seems like they're connected somehow. And now his aunt, I think, has just been notified of his death. But they weren't really in contact. But she didn't know that he was living back in the area again, because I think his mum died and he went to go and live in Spain for a bit, and then he's come back, but no one seems to know that he was back. Instantly, I am intrigued. Guys, am I getting back into thriller? This is it. Maybe I've just been reading really bad thrillers, but like I said, it's still really early on. I'm just giving you my first initial impression. It's a fairly short book actually. It's about, how many pages have we got in here? So it's about 300 odd pages. Yeah, so it's about 300 odd pages, and I've actually never seen a picture of the author before. I've just noticed that as well. There we go. I don't know if you can see that. There she is. Hoping I can either finish this, probably not today, but at the very latest I definitely will finish this at the weekend. But yeah, guys, I'm liking this. So far so good. And I've just reached over halfway through of this book, and I have to say, it's still good. I'm still loving it. We've got a host of characters, and like I said, they are all kind of connected in some way, and it's basically finding out how they were connected and how they were connected to this young guy that died at the start of the book. I really love the female characters in this especially. I love Laura. Laura's kind of, I can't remember how old she is. I want to say she's like 19 or 20, but she's in prison, or she's not in prison, but she's in trouble with the law quite a lot, with the police. I just kind of like her. She's quite feisty. It kind of goes back into her past as to why she's like she is, because obviously no one just ends up that way, you know. Yeah, she's kind of befriended this neighbour called Irene. Yeah, it's fascinating how everything's connected. I get why this is called A Slow Fire Burning, because it's like you can slowly see why everyone's getting angry and where this basically started. You know what? I think I'm getting back into thrillers. Like, who knew? Who knew? Because for the longest time, as I said at the start of this video, thrillers have been a bit hit and miss for me, and mostly misses. But yeah, this is good. I do like this. I think for me though, as much as I do like it, it's still kind of at the moment a low 5-star. I don't know if it's fully like a full 5-star. I'm not sure. Maybe a high 4-star, a low 5-star. Yeah, I mean, obviously I don't know how this is going to end. I really have no idea. It's probably who we least suspect, so maybe the neighbour, Irene. Also, there's a bit with Irene. I really love Irene as well. She's the next, like I said, she's the next door neighbour. She's an elderly person, and she's kind of on the beginning stage of having dementia. She's really sweet. She's really cute, and honestly, I was getting really kind of like choked up because she, her husband died about 8 years ago, and it's only her and her husband. They don't have any children or anything like that, and they don't really think they have any relatives or friends. She is really missing him, and there's a scene where she knows she's getting a bit confused. Yeah, she's a bit scared. She got a bit confused one day because she was waiting for William to come home from work. Well, where is he? Why is he not turned up? Whoa, that's a lot of sun. The sun's just decided to bless me. I like the way that this author portrays female characters. I just feel like they're so realistic, and they're so kind of, I get them. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have Laura, who's like kind of seen as quite feisty and, you know, defensive, and you kind of get her, like, you get them. And the male characters in comparison, they're just not shit. But it's so fascinating how they're all connected, and I like this. I don't know, I'm wondering maybe if the ending wasn't that good, because I know this didn't get rated all that well, and it's quite hard following from The Girl on the Train, you know. That was a really big bestseller, you know. Following on from that, I can see why maybe some people struggle. I'm wondering how it ends, and maybe the ending is why people didn't rate it very well. I don't know if I'll finish it tonight, or today rather, but I'm hoping, obviously, because tomorrow's Sunday, that I will finish it tomorrow. I'm back in thriller, guys. I'm back in. This is how you do it. So today is Sunday morning, I think. I say think because I'm not sure actually what time it is. I finished, and this is how you do it. That's what I gotta say. 5 stars. I think, if I'm being honest, it's more on the low end of a 5 stars, and I shall get into that as to why I think that. It's official. I am back in my thriller era. Now, I am going to obviously say some spoilers. I'm going to mention who did it, so obviously skip this if you don't want to listen. So who ended up doing it, who was responsible for the young man's death, and it was Carla, so it was the auntie. It's kind of a long story, obviously, so just bear with me, but he killed her son, her baby son, when he was like a toddler or something. Well, when the son was a toddler. I don't know how old Daniel was. I think he's a few years older than him. And so she basically found out that he did that and killed him. And Theo, her husband, or rather her ex-husband, sort of tried to cover for her. When I actually say this out loud, like when I try and describe the story to people, it sounds kind of insane and it sounds a bit far-fetched. It works, and that's the thing with this book. Like, this is what's crazy to me, because it does sound far-fetched. It sounds insane, but it works, and it shouldn't work, but it does, and that's because we have a good author. And this is what happens when authors know what they're doing. When you've got a far-fetched story, you have to make it believable, and this is how you do it, because like I said, on the surface it does sound a bit far-fetched. There's lots of other nuances that go on, but the characters, I was attached to all these characters, especially the female characters. So we have kind of 3 main ones, and that's Miriam, Laura, Irene, or I suppose 4 actually, and Carla, and each one I felt quite attached to. And there was a bit where I was like, I kind of did guess, when it got to like a few chapters before the end, I did guess that it was Carla. You can't help but be attached to all these characters, especially the female ones. This was just great. This was honestly great. I liked it, and I don't understand the negative reviews. Why it's not a full 5. Like, I have given it a 5 star, but it's more on the low end of a 5 star. I think it's just because I think we could have just spent a little more time with the characters, just ever so slightly. It's like little niggly things sprinkled in, but they're so niggly that it really is just tiny sprinkles of like just things I would have maybe changed. I didn't really need this. I kind of got a gist of it, but it does help. The dialogue was good. I felt like the dialogue was believable as well. Like, it was really good dialogue, good writing. It wasn't overdone. This author's best-selling book was, well, more known book was The Girl on the Train, and I do feel like I have watched the film to that, and it's not as good as the book. And I did think, and it's weird that I thought this, but when I was reading this, I was thinking, I hope they don't actually oh God, I can't speak. I hope they don't adapt this into like a TV series or like a movie, because it's one of those books, I think it just has to be a book. I don't feel like it would translate very well on screen. Like, it might do, possibly, but I feel like it's very hard to translate, and it's one of those things you have to spend time with the characters' thoughts, and that's quite hard sometimes to translate into like a physical media. This is it, guys. I was live laughing, loving this book. Highly recommend. Go and get yourself a copy now if you haven't already and just read your heart out, because honestly, I would put this down as one of my favourite thrillers of all time. I wouldn't say it's the number one, but it's very close. Who knew? Paula Hawkins. Yeah, I've only read that other book, which I liked. What I love about these books as well is they're so easy. Like, there's lots of breaks in there. There's really short chapters, so it's good pacing. I love the representation of women that are kind of underrepresented in society, so like the elderly, the disenfranchised. So for example, women living in poverty, you know, like Laura was. I think my only other critique is that it was diverse in that sense, in that it did represent women in society who aren't maybe represented well, or if at all. I would like to see more ethnically diverse, because as far as I'm aware, they're all white. I think so anyway. I'm pretty sure all the characters in here were white, but I could be wrong. So it would be nice to see some more, you know, different ethnicities, especially as this was set in London, which is known for its multiculturalism, so it would have been nice to see that a little bit more. It does actually have at the end of this book, and I kind of wanted to, I didn't know whether to include, but it has a reading group guide, reading group questions, and I did think, it's only like 6 questions. I can't really talk about this unless you've read it, obviously. I thought we'd go through some of them, so let's start with the first one. Just I don't know, we'll do the first 2. I don't want to go through all of them because it might be a bit boring. A slow fire burning is told through the voices of 4 distinct female characters. So we have Laura, Miriam, Carla and Irene. What were your initial impressions of each of these characters, and had your impressions changed at all by the end of the novel? I would say yes and no, because Laura is someone who is, like I said, she's kind of living in poverty. She doesn't have a great relationship with her family. She suffered a lot of trauma as a child. She had a traumatic brain injury, and it's kind of a long story without me going into specific details, but essentially her family were kind of responsible for that. And yeah, and she's just living in kind of poverty, to be honest. Like, she's living in poverty without being homeless, if you know what I mean, but she has been homeless on occasions, and she's known to steal. She's a bit of a kleptomaniac, but you kind of get, once you're in her POV, you get why she does it. You always want her to steal. It sounds bizarre, but like until you read it, I feel like you won't get what I mean. And I never changed any of my impressions of them. Carla, I always thought was a little bit, I couldn't quite put my finger on her. None of my impressions really strayed all that far. If anything, I was kind of on their side. So we'll do the second one. The second one is, those people who think they have all the power, who think that we have none, we could prove them wrong. We could show them that we can be powerful too. How does Paula Hawkins, the author, explore themes of inclusion and exclusion in the novel? Which characters hold the most social power? In what ways do they use this power? I'm not sure, actually. That's something I couldn't answer because I'm not academic enough for that. Okay, actually a good example is when Laura, and this is another thing I really like about the book, Laura and Irene's relationship. So Irene sort of sees Laura almost like a sort of surrogate child, and she wasn't able to have kids when her and her husband were alive, so she kind of takes Laura under her wing, and she feels kind of sorry for her, and she likes her, and she relates to her somewhat. They had a really, really lovely relationship. I forgot to say that actually as one of my favourites, and I wanted to read more about them. That's kind of my only other criticism, but that was quite interesting, that because Irene was kind of seen as kind of dismissed by society, almost like kind of like a nosy old neighbour, and just, like she's just whatever. People were very much like, oh, she's whatever, she's just an old woman living on her own. And because of that, there was a moment in the book where Laura starts staying with her for a little bit. She's like, I feel so safe here. And she's like, what do you mean? She's like, well, I just feel safe. Like, no one can find me here, no one gets to me here. And she's like, well, I'm sure that's not true. She's like, no, it's true. Like, no one will suspect that I'm here, and all this, and I just feel safe here. And that reminds me a little bit when I was living, I know it's not quite the same, but when I was living, and I didn't live with my nan, but when I used to stay with my nan's, it always felt like such a safe and comforting place. And I think that's the same most people, if they have grandparents and you have a good relationship with them, you do kind of almost see your grandparents' home as your second home. And I know I did growing up, so I could kind of relate to what she meant by that. Oh, and that reminds me, there was a bit in the book, and it was towards the end, where Laura, she just got released because they were trying to pin it on her, basically, because in fairness to the police were kind of like, all this evidence was pointing to Laura, to be fair. Laura's, like I said, she's very feisty, she's quite confrontational anyway. Not that that's an excuse to like be a dick to her, but you know what I mean. The police were like, it's going to be you, Laura. Like, to be fair, all the evidence really did point to her. And they realised somebody else made a confession, and then they realised what was going on, blah, blah, blah. There was a bit, and I was like, no. I had to reread it because I was like, please don't, you can't make her die. There was a bit where she literally just got released, and they're like, oh, you're fine, you're free to go, basically, but you need to stay because you need to sign all this paperwork. So while you stay, why don't you go and get some lunch from the canteen? It's free, just go and get it. So she's like, yeah, great. And she was so elated, she was so happy. And then she saw this woman that she doesn't get along with in the canteen as well, and the woman said to her, if I see you again, I'm basically going to kill you. And she didn't kill her, but she fucking nearly did. She literally bashed her head in. How the fuck she ended up alive? I thought she was dead. I thought, oh, she's dead. And then she ended up in hospital, and she's badly injured, like really badly injured, but she seems to be okay. And I thought, thank God. And then I think the last we find out as the readers that she's living with Irene, and I was like, thank God, because honestly, I wasn't prepared for that. I was not prepared for Laura to be killed, because I was like, no, I like Laura. She's cool. She gets it. I don't know. I feel like yeah, I really gunned for Laura. I was like, please no, please. It's definitely a 5-star. Well done, Paula. You didn't let me down. That's all I have for you. I finished 2 books in the week, so I'm happy with that. I'm now a thriller girly again. I can officially say that. Comment below if you have any recommendations for me. What books are you reading? What are your favourite thrillers? Let me know, because I do like to know. I like to be nosy. And go and buy this book now.